Welcome to Wordplay, the podcast where metaphors spiral, sayings unravel, and two pals try and make sense of it all. I'm George.
And I'm Rach. And each week we pick a well-known saying, such as when pigs fly, or the cat's out the bag.
And then we run absolutely wild with it.
Sometimes it's deep, sometimes it's chaos. Usually both. This is Wordplay. Let's get into it. Wordplay. Playing with words. Words that to play when we say them and play with them. Here is some synth keyboard that I'm doing with my mouth because I couldn't be bothered to get my keyboard from under all the junk in my bathroom. Second bathroom, bathroom where there's a keyboard. That was more trumping. Okay, on to the episode.
Welcome. I don't know what the return of welcome is. Welcome. Thank you for your hospitality.
That is a good point, actually. I don't know what is the response to welcome. Also, welcome with you. You know.
Hello. You are in the room. I am in the room, and you are in the room, and everyone listening is in the room.
Two neurodivergent friends trying to figure out how to say hello to each other.
Yeah, not for the first time and not for the last time.
Oh, hello. Are you in a different setting to last time? Maybe not. I don't know. I'm just getting used to Vietnam life.
No, I am. I've moved house.
That was me being of course you've moved house, and I knew that, but I've forgotten, and that was just me being observant. Hello.
Wow, look at you, observant. You noticed the change in the colour behind me, the brief colour.
I did.
This is going to be more decorated when you see it. Maybe not next time, but the time after. It's a work in progress.
I look forward to it because I know what you're like with your design.
Yes.
Very good is the follow on from that, in case people don't know that already.
I know what you're like with your design. Well, okay, first of all, this is your cup of positivity. That's what's written on your cup. What is in your cup?
Yes. It's actually a sleep tea. It's spiced apple tea? Yeah,
at 2 p.m. Oh well, it is nap time.
By 3 o'clock is usually when I need a rest, but I actually just find it very quite calming because it's passion flower, spiced apple, chamomile, and vanilla.
Cool. That's delicious. That sounds delightful. Yeah.
Although I've done a rookie error and I haven't mixed. Oh, I might be able to mix some of my drink. I always put cold water in it because I can't drink a hot tea that's fresh. And I'm not about waiting for it to cool down.
And you shouldn't be.
Exactly. But then I'll just burn my lips every time I try it and regret it.
Yeah. I mean, the number of times I've burnt myself on pizza because of exactly that.
Your nails look amazing as well, but I'm trying not to just keep referencing to making reference to visual things. But they do look fantastic.
Thank you. So I moved house and it all went swimmingly, and I've yet to decorate. And apologies to our listeners if it's sounding more echoey than regular scheduled programming, because I do not have enough textiles in this room for an echo, let alone for a textile connoisseur such as myself.
It surprisingly doesn't sound that echoey. I don't. From my end, it doesn't anyway. But don't let that deter you from the textiles.
Well, no, I won't. And especially, so I just finished a series of interviews for my dissertation with makers in the UK. And 3 of them, spoiler alert, were quilters. And honestly, I think I'm converted. I think I need to make a quilt for my wall.
Will you make me a quilt? I love a quilt.
Do you?
Make me a quilt. Make me a quilt. Yeah.
I'll make you a quilt. It can be the present I give you for my graduation in June.
That's sad, isn't it? You're having to make me a present for your graduation. But you love creating textiles, so
I do. So it really is a present. I wasn't just saying
really,
that to be.
You're welcome.
Which brings us full circle around to the beginning of the episode. No, you're welcome.
Exactly. And to the pod. Welcome to today's episode of the pod.
Welcome to today's episode of the pod. And Rachel has already forgotten the topic that we're talking about, even though she texted me about it literally an hour ago.
And you know that because you just looked at me squinting with my eyes trying to remember.
Was I right? Or do you actually not
Yeah,
remember?
I'd forgot. The thing is, okay, what is remembering? Because like I've forgotten, but also it's just because it's not immediately in my mind and it needs a bit of time to come round, but I'm searching for it and I'm not sure what it was. Anyway,
Oh.
this honestly, I apologize. This podcast, I feel like every episode is just a recurring reminder for us and the listeners of how poor my memory is. And I think they've probably got the piss. They got the message by now.
Oh my god, what is going on? This sleepy tea is working overtime. Um, okay, well,
You,
we discussed memory quite a lot in the last episode or the episode before. I think it was the last one. And so if we go down that road again, it will be like opening a
can of worms.
there we go. There we go.
Got
There
it.
we go.
Got it.
We did it, ladies
What's
and
even
gentlemen.
what's even more embarrassing about this is that after I text you to say let's do this topic, this
Yeah.
was about 2 hours ago since I've worked on it. I also edited some past episodes, sorted out our scheduler, and created the thumbnails. So I've seen the phrase open a can of worms numerous times since we discussed it.
That is so funny because whilst you've been doing that, I've been editing our promo to go out on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube.
Look at us working on it without knowing we were working on it.
How cute. That's just more proof that besties are linked in more than just words spoken out
Exactly.
loud.
Exactly. But in my defense, I've had a client since then, which is an entirely different context, which is why I forgot everything that happened in the hours before then.
Oh, well, lucky them.
Lucky them. Shall we
Can of
open a can of
worms.
worms?
let's let's appreciate the fact that this is already a very messy space, so it doesn't matter if a few worms get spilled
In the process. By very
yeah.
nature, it is messy.
Yes.
Okay, so can we just talk very practically about this though?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm imagining I've never opened a can of worms in a literal sense, and I'm imagining opening a can of worms. And I just don't
Wait,
know if it's
you're
as
not you're not a fisherman?
maggots. I used to fish with my granddad and it was maggots.
Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, what's the difference between a maggot and a worm, like
Well,
logistically, in a fisherman sense?
legit, I don't know actually. They're smaller.
Okay,
You get
juicier.
more in a box.
Oh
Ugh,
god.
I would think not. Maggots. So gross. I feel like as a kid I was just like, oh, look at this, woohoo. Whereas now it's like creepy. But it's funny
Yeah,
you should say that because when I imagined opening a can of worms, I had to substitute. I had to go, no, 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 we're not looking at maggots, Rach. We're looking at worms.
yeah, we are.
And I was gonna say that I just don't think they
Logistically.
like. I don't feel like the practicality of opening a can of worms in real
Mm-hmm.
life is as
Mm-hmm.
messy or complicated or maddening as the saying would suggest.
That's interesting. I have never done it. I guess it depends how full the can is. Like, because if you pack them all in, and then it's like you take them off, and once they start moving, they start creating space between them, and then to pack them back in, it's going to be a bit gross. And maybe they fall out when you open. Is it like a ring pull top? Because if you have
Yeah,
a
I'm
ring
imagining
pull
like
top, then you can't put them back on because you don't have a
mm,
freaking thing to seal it with.
that's true. So once the can is opened, you can't reseal it, and so the worms have then escaped. But I don't
Yeah.
think like they're not fast moving at worms, are they? They're not. It's not like a squirrel in a coming out of a can.
Sorry, that visual is brilliant. Oh my god. I need so yet another thing that I need to illustrate. Every time I hear something like that, I'm like, oh, I need to illustrate that. But that is definitely one of them. No, well, I don't know. So, okay, not to bring it back to chickens again, which this podcast might as well be about chickens at this point. When I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do was find worms, and so that I could feed my chickens, as if they didn't have the ability to find them myself. But I would dig for the chickens. I would dig so that I could get just below the surface where I knew there would be a couple of worms hanging out, and I would attempt to feed them. But the thing is if the chicken didn't see it, then the worm was very quick at getting back down below the surface. I don't know how. Mm-hmm.
Maybe I underestimate the speed of the worm.
I think a worm that can worms sense if they're in danger?
Probably.
Okay, well, if a worm senses it's in danger, I fear that it may just like as a reaction just bury down. We are going
that makes sense
down.
It's like a survival instinct reflex to off you go.
Yeah, off you go.
They must, right? Because plants protect themselves from predators, so worms must be able to.
Yeah, I think so. I've turned around and a worm has disappeared many a time in my life. not for a good like 24 years, but still I've got that experience in the bag.
So we know. Okay, so maybe opening a can of worms, the worms spill out
and you're
wriggle
gonna
off in
lose
various directions.
Ooh. So
Yeah.
when you were fishing, did you like have like a little hook, a little like that had a sharp bit on the end, and you stabbed the maggot?
Yeah.
Wow, I've never been fishing, and I never will. So
I was about to say you haven't, as if like is a surprise, but like it's not a normal, as in it's not. I don't know anybody else that goes fishing. I just used to as a kid sometimes because my granddad.
I've dated too many people that have gone fishing, let me tell you.
Have you?
That like fishing, yes.
You've got a fisher fetish.
Ew. Not intentionally. It's never interested me, and it never will, because as you may or may not know, you do know, it's my other friends that tend to forget every single day that I am vegetarian. So
I was nodding enthusiastically, but the words weren't coming out then, and that was because I do know that, and I was happy that I remember it. I mean, like, how could I forget at this point? But like, yeah. So why are you going to want to fish?
Yeah, exactly. Why am I going to want to fish? Yeah, no, not even like I wouldn't even go with somebody that wanted to go fishing.
It's also, I don't know. Is this controversial? It's not controversial, but as in for the people that like fishing, it's boring. It's boring. But then part of me is like, yeah, but it's mindful, but also it's boring.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's like a meditation, isn't it? Like you got to find whatever the thing is that is a meditation that works for you, whether it's like rock climbing, swimming, fishing, sitting with your legs crossed with a banjo in the corner, whatever works for you.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the only time that I've encountered maggots, which I think part of the issue with maggots is the word maggot. It's very unpleasant.
My God.
Maggot.
Sorry, I was trying to test out other ways of making it. And no, for me it's the wriggle. For me it's the wriggle and the association with death. No.
Well, that
no,
also, yeah, also that.
Okay, getting back to can of worms. Would you like to hear
Yep.
my research? Because
please tell me.
I'm not going to do the research and then not tell you about it.
Of course.
But I will always ask for your permission because consent is important.
Love it.
Okay. So, Merriam-Webster, the first time it was defined metaphorically in there was in 1962, and it listed the definition as to create a lot of trouble or unforeseen problems.
Oh.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything to comment on there before I continue?
Just that I knew that the phrase had an essence of that, but I think I'd kind of forgotten that that was a big part of it. I think I was thinking of it as just like, oh, we're gonna really get into this.
Okay. As in, there's a lot to tackle. Tackle!
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
fishing thing, right?
Fishing tackle, yeah, that's what it is.
Wow.
Yeah. See, wow. Yeah, more like there's a lot to tackle, not that it was necessarily, what did you say, like getting into trouble.
Unforeseen problems, creating a lot of trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess because they're in the can, you can't see them. So you never know what gonna get when you open the can. And then um creating a lot of trouble. I mean, it could be a lot of trouble if you spill the beans,
Oh.
or also in a can. May I note?
Less wriggly. But but hey ho, hey ho, hey ho. Here's maybe the link is I feel like maybe sometimes people use it like, oh, let's not open that kind of worms. In the sentiment of it'll get us into unforeseen trouble, but really it's because they can't be bothered to get into it, or they just don't want to like really know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, politics.
As in,
as in okay, so people I've heard people talk about like the introduction of new laws being passed, and
yes.
them saying, well, this is going to open a can of worms because there are so many other things that have to change now, or that people have to think about, or blah 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 blah, um that it's just going to be a bit mental for a while,
Uh-huh.
and it's going to
Right.
cause a lot of trouble. There we go.
And it's causing a lot of trouble, but more so because it's creating a lot more work that might be necessary because it's to support people in a certain way or it's good for society, but it's just that
Yeah,
now it's like, oh shit, we've got to do all this stuff.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Maybe it's not even trouble, it is like labor, you know.
Yeah, or
It's
inconvenience.
yes, yes, which is also usually caused by the people that are already there. Just just saying.
Just saying. What
um
else you got in your research bank?
hold, can I ask you a question real quick?
You may.
On that note, do you think we can make progress without opening cans of worms?
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Um, my instinctive answer is no. Oh, I'm trying to put it into a tangible example. Um,
Well, I
but
have
my
an example if you
yeah.
need more time to think.
Yes, please, please, please.
Okay, so I spent a long time in therapy,
Oh, yes,
and
okay, go.
yeah, yeah, and every now and again I would say something that my therapist would kind of give me this look as if I had just shown her another can of worms yet to be opened. Like like I mentioned something in passing that she clearly, like it was like glowing neon. Open me, I am full of worms, to her.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably maybe an example um of, but it doesn't support the not opening cans of worms to make progress.
Well, it supports the idea that to make progress, you kind of need to open a can of worms.
Even if you don't know the can exists yet.
Yeah. Or is it that there's there's a limit to the progress if we're talking like our own growth, personal development?
Yeah.
Is there a limit to the progress that you can make if you are not willing to open up some cans of worms?
Oh, well.
I
And
would.
who's defining it as progress as well?
Well, this is it, because also I think in a therapy sense, often it's healing, isn't it?
Or even just recognizing your own patterns.
Yes. Or even making decisions about your life. Like, if you want to. What are you laughing at?
Sorry, I'm thinking about all the absolutely mental decisions that I've made over the last 9 months.
Do you feel like they have come from an alignment of looking at your worm cans?
That's a really interesting question. Uh I think that potentially some of them have been worm related and some of them have been like keeping the worms in firmly in the can and not going there
Okay.
related, like a bit of both, like a mixture. And I can't even say that one approach is better than another approach, because I think like some of them have been equally bad decisions and some of them have been equally good decisions.
I always love your self-awareness on these things.
Oh my god. And my oversharing.
What is a pod for if not for oversharing?
I
Um,
mean, so true. Yes.
this raises a good point though, for personal cans of worms or emotional cans of worms. Sometimes there is a time and a place for the can to be opened, and it isn't
Mm-hmm.
always, it might not always be now.
Okay.
Sometimes there's a, I mean, really what we're coming around to is the question of, is there ever like healthy denial and repression, I suppose? Which I would say sometimes is the case.
In what? Give me an example.
Well, okay. Let me think of an example. Okay, so I can only think of like I can only think of my most recent and relevant context, which, as Georgia knows, the last 3 or 4 months I've been in like a really intense and determined mindset around work and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
then I feel like um taking a pause and thinking about what to do next with that has essentially opened up a can of worms in me needing to kind of like take my foot off the gas. And I've kind of had, I don't want to say burnout because I know what burnout is and it's not this, but like just opposite ends, like super low energy and kind of just been a bit like all over the place. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that like the point that I'm trying to make is that didn't need to open up. I didn't need to like look any deeper than surface level for a few months because there was a mode that I needed to be in, and it was just like we got to keep going, we got to keep going, we got to keep going. And I don't think I even knew that there was anything else that I needed to be looking at. And it's not like this is necessarily a consequence of like denying my feelings, but
Mm-hmm.
a time has now come where we are opening up a can of worms, which is just like, can we keep pushing and keep going as we are because it's not sustainable? And now the worms are out of the can, and my emotions are everywhere, and I'm tired. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? But that this was the right time for the can to be opened.
Right. Okay. Okay. Nice.
Yeah,
Lovely.
there you go. That's my example.
That's beautiful.
Um,
Okay, so avoiding unforeseen problems by not opening the can, and they are unforeseen. So you might even say sight unseen, which is my least favorite phrase in the history of reality TV.
Lee,
Sorry, that
I
was
cannot agree more. I know we need to discuss that. Sight unseen.
okay.
Why has this become such a thing on Love Is Blind? Sight unseen.
Sight unseen. It just makes me feel physically sick, actually.
I mean, Is it catchy when it just makes me angry?
Okay, this is the thing. Like when I was watching the reunion, because I'm not going to stop watching it just because they're saying sight unseen, but it does annoy me. I heard them say it for the millionth time, and I thought, oh, I feel bad for hating this because whoever has come up with it must be so proud because rhythmically,
Yes.
from an ad and like rhythmically on its own and rhythmically from an advertising marketing perspective, it's like it's pleasing, it's round, it's got some kind of like velvetyness to it.
Because what else are you going to say? Look at these couples fall in love without seeing
Without
each
seeing
other.
each other. But the
Falling
thing
in
is,
love blind.
falling in love without sight, without seeing each other. Sight
It is
unseen.
yeah. Your description of it was very good, but it also makes no practical, it just makes no sense.
It just hurts. It really hurts.
Sight unseen. Sight unseen. Anyway, with the can of worms though, what is interesting about this definition of unforeseen consequences is that that's kind of not true, because people's using the phrase "that's going to open a can of worms" suggests that whatever is in there, maybe it isn't quite foreseen exactly what it is, but it is known that it is going to be a pain.
Yes, it is.
Hmm.
It is. Because I was thinking in the like law politics kind of realm, if you are passing a law and somebody's saying, oh, that's going to open a can of worms, then they know how much work it's going to be. They just don't know what direction that work is going to take or how long it's going to be or who is going to execute it or any of those things. So those are the things that are unforeseen. But I don't even say the word seen anymore. Bloody hell. Um, um, but yeah. Okay. I wanna throw another thing at you.
Yeah.
That there are a couple of slang historians on the internet that I found. They are often noting, although there aren't like exact sources, there's not like a photograph of the newspapers, which is really annoying. But they say that it was used in newspapers in the United States of America about 11 years before that. And the idea was that, some of them had fishing as a hobby. And so there's like a literal connection between the bait shops that were keeping live worms in metal cans, with the issue being that if you open the metal can, then they're gonna like escape.
So there is okay. So it came from quite a literal place.
It did. So I guess we need to thank the fishermen, maybe. I don't know.
I guess so. For heeding this warning of the worms getting out.
Yeah.
I feel like there's not much sort of controversy or open to interpretation on this one, really.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know if there's much unclear about its meaning.
Well, I think in terms of like psychological angles, there's a lot more to explore though, because it's like to not open the can of worms. Are you being avoidant? Are you being a coward? Or are you just being patient?
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
the $1 million question. And what's the consequence to not opening up, say, an emotional or psychological can of worms?
I mean, they could literally be nothing, right? It's not like you're opening the zip of a bean bag with all of those bloody tiny little polystyrene balls that immediately will fly and stick to everything, and then you are going to be finding them for weeks on end around your room, and also your bean bag is like a little bit less comfy.
It's true, but to use the therapy example, because actually that's a really good one. And if I think about like being in therapy, and opening up a psychological can of worms can feel a bit like the beanbag, which is, oh, I've realized some things, or I now understand other things about myself that now, like, to use another phrase, the cat's out the bag. Like, we can't put it back in at this point. So it can feel like there's no going back, depending on what it is that you are dealing with.
Yes. It's funny you bring up cats out the bag, because I was thinking of that. And it's like, it's kind of leaning a little bit more. Well, I feel like it's less chaotic, but it's more like sharing something that was secretive or unknown. Whereas the worms are really like bringing some mess. And then I was thinking, oh yeah, it's basically the fishing version of Pandora's box.
Ooh,
right?
True. Yeah.
Because people use that phrase as well, like, you're going to open Pandora's box with that one.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't hear that very often.
It's going to go
but
on and on and on and on and on, right?
Right.
It's like all of these extra things you have to think about. You're going to have to deal with all of these things, all of this extra
Which
knowledge.
actually makes me think about one of my other can of worms interpretations is this idea of, like, in a practical work sense, especially if you have a brain that likes to expand or no, expand. I was going to say overcomplicate, but I have spent lots of time reframing that in my head. Is, for example, like, let's say I'm going to redo my website.
Yeah.
To some people, or like, no, let's go simpler. Let's say, and I talk to people a lot about this type of thing that happens where you're working on a project, and like, so let's say I'm like, oh, I need to update my homepage on my website, and then I go to my website, but then it's like, oh, but if I'm going to update this part of it, then I should also update that other part of it, and then there's that link that I want to update, and so if I'm going to update that link, I should probably create a new guide, and then if I'm going to create, and so you essentially open up a can of worms, because all you see is all of the other things that you also need to do, and some brains do that more than other brains, and some brains find that harder than other brains, but you essentially, that is probably the most familiar opening of a can of worms feeling that I have, or that I see a lot.
I wonder which brains are better at dealing with those worms, because we hang out with people that are very similar to us, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that there are some people that just like go, oh yeah, if I need to do that, then I need to do that and that and that and that and that, and this is the order that I need to do them in. So I'm going to do this, then this, then this, then, and then it's just fine and not overwhelming.
But also, I think people that would go, oh yeah, there are all of those other things that I could do, but that's not a priority right now, so I'm just going to do this one page.
What's that like?
Right?
Because my brain didn't even go to that as a possibility. Did you notice?
Yeah.
I just thought about my own website list and thought, wow, yes, all of the things, everything. And I just put them all on my list, and then I try and work out what is the priority, and I do that first, but the other things are still on the list.
This is it. And I say this from personal experience, because I've had so many examples where somebody else has had to say to me, effectively, you don't need to open that can of worms. Like, in one of my past roles, one of my jobs was to write like process documents for the stuff that we were doing, and I kept not finishing them, or like, it was like, is that process document done yet? Oh no, I'm still working on it. Is it done yet? Is it not done yet? And essentially, the reason it wasn't done was because I couldn't write a process document without identifying 3, 4, 5 ways in which we could improve the process, and therefore I wanted to go and improve the process and fix these things about it and work on it that way. But all of that needed to happen before I could write the guide. And so to me, at that point in my life as well, before lots of understanding my brain, it didn't, I don't understand how the can of worms could not have been opened. Like, that is how it had to be. And my
Yeah.
manager was eventually was like, you can just write the document for the current process. We don't have to do all the improvements. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I hate that, but also like prioritizing.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, and like as a strategy person, I want to see the whole picture.
Yeah.
So I have to be looking at how everything's working together all the time. Otherwise, I cannot do my job. That
It's
would
so
be
lovely to
insane.
see that.
What do you
It's so
mean? The whole
lovely.
picture?
Yeah, I love the whole picture. I want to see all of the things.
All of the things, all of the time.
But then in that essence, it's only opening up a can of worms if you then have to do lots of things with the full picture that you can see.
Yeah, that's
Which
true.
which effectively is you open a can of worms, they spill out everywhere, but then you just kind of look at them and go, which one of you am I going to do something with?
And why not just empty those worms into a resealable container so that you can just,
You've cracked it.
yeah. I guess Tupperware wasn't really a thing, maybe.
This is such a good point, though, although you got to keep them alive, I guess, somehow. But you're right. Like, why are we assuming you open a can of worms and then there's nowhere for them to go but wriggle away or mess up your house?
Your house.
I was in my
Feeding
kitchen
them.
opening these worms.
Oh, and feeding them to what?
I don't know. I wasn't planning to. In my imagination, not literally, but like,
It,
I wasn't. I don't know
your
what I was doing with them when they
imagination.
were open.
You
Yeah.
were you were you'd purchased a can of worms from the shop. You'd brought it home. You'd stood in your kitchen and you opened it without a purpose for the worms.
No, there wasn't even the first bit. It was just that the tin that I was imagining was a beans tin, but without the label, and I know where they are in my kitchen. So I just imagined I was stood in that area
Mm.
opening a can of worms.
Oh, did you know that it was worms before you opened it, or did you think it was
Yeah.
beans?
No, I knew it was worms, otherwise that'd be a shock.
Imagine if you went downstairs and we were actually some kind of witch related entity and we'd turned all of your beans into worms.
Oh my God, I can never open beans again.
You're going to be scared every time. Oh my gosh. Okay. So what I think I'm gathering is that worms actually, although numerous within the can, and so therefore like the amount of things that you have to deal with once open could be appropriate. The fact that they're probably not going to cause as much chaos as we use the metaphor for the situations that we use it
Mm-hmm.
for are makes me think that we need to swap out the animal. So what animal do you think is more suited to have in the can?
This is a very good point because my point was going to be that we might be opening a can of worms, but it's what we then do with the worms that with the can that we've opened that is the important bit. And if we change the animal, then that could help with that. Why am I imagining some sort of small creature that will just self-organize itself into a line?
I don't know, because that's the reverse of the chaos that the phrase is trying to conjure up, right?
True. Sorry, I'm faffing because I've got a little light on, but I can hear it buzzing, even though I've got my headphones on and it's annoying me.
Oh gosh, no.
That is.
I feel that. There is a speaker that used to be in my bedroom that when plugged in, just on standby, mind you,
Mm,
um, would make the most annoying noise that no one else could hear. And it was
yeah,
so, oh my gosh, it made me want to crawl out of my skin. So take your time.
feel you. Well, my issue is we're just gonna have to go with a darker face because it's I've unplugged it, but the light stayed on. Must charge itself. Um, honestly, I feel you. Yeah, but I think with like that's interesting because my instinct with the phrase wasn't to capture the essence of opening a can of worms, as in like, oh God, there's going to be unforeseen chaos. But it was essentially to try and make it so it's like opening a can of worms, but everything's going to be okay.
I think that okay, sure. Yeah. Why
I don't know
not?
why. That's my my instinct.
Because you don't want the chaos, maybe.
I think it's because I associate the phrase with a reluctance or other people basically saying don't bother.
Ah, oh yeah. Yeah, you're gonna open a can of worms with that one.
Yeah. So then it's like, oh, I guess
As
I won't open
in,
it then.
yeah, don't dig into it. Don't be curious, which is the
Yeah,
reverse of how I want to live my life.
exactly. So if it's more like if somebody says, oh, you're going to open a can of worms, but you can interpret that as like, yeah, I am, but it's not going to be, but we'll be okay. We'll figure out what to do with these worms.
I'm going to open it into another vessel of which I can see everything inside, and I am going to tag them so that I can track them and make sure that they're okay, like you do
That's
with
fun.
whales.
Yeah, pigeons. I think that happens. I don't know if they do. They
Pigeons.
just look tagged
Oh,
sometimes.
if I had a homing pigeon to send messages and stuff, if that's what they do you think it would make it the 7,000 and something miles to your house?
No,
Okay. Well,
I
that seems like a good
yeah.
place to round up the episode.
I have one last thought. When you were describing your worms, then I changed it in my head to be that you're opening a can of gummy worms.
Yum.
Because it's the same phrase, but gummy worms are fun. I don't like all the flavors, but I like some of the flavors. It's a nice little
Mm-hmm.
silly surprise. They don't
Mm-hmm.
wriggle, so like it's a little. They can be intertwined and a bit messy, but ultimately, like they're not going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you
Mm-hmm.
can choose which ones you want to eat in what order.
What about all of them at
Sure.
once?
Next time someone's like, you're in therapy and you're like, oh, is that a can of worms I want to open? And you're like, yeah, give me them all. I'll eat them all right
Give
now.
me all the worms. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. This is why I mean I haven't been organized enough in the last couple of weeks because of the move, but this is why I like bringing a snack to the pod,
Mm.
because when you involve snacks in anything in life, it just amplifies the goodness within that situation, in my
That
opinion.
is absolutely true. And it makes me wonder why we haven't reinterpreted more of our sayings with a snacky flair.
Oh, I mean, we're going to do the range of desserts already, so I think once we get that up and running, we'll be
Yeah.
okay. Don't tell me you've forgotten about the range of desserts again.
No, I know about the range of desserts.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Because you've been
Because we
editing
mentioned it
the
in the last
podcast.
episode.
Oh my god, amazing.
I'm excited about a can of gummy worms now. That's how
You're
I'm
gonna
forever going to
open
think of this phrase.
you're gonna open a can of gummy worms with that one.
Yeah.
Sounds lovely.
So
Delicious.
you keeping this phrase? You liking this phrase? Are you going to use this phrase?
I think I generally prefer Pandora's box because it feels a bit more mystical, magical, and that's way more aligned to my life than um fishing.
You yeah. You know what? Yeah. I was just I you lost me there as in I was listening, but you lost me in my imagination because I was imagining what it would be like to open Pandora's box. And that was just like at least opening a can of worms, it's worms, but opening Pandora's box is like, what? I don't what is going to be in here? That's total mystery.
Yeah, and it's a little bit scary, but if you have a good heart, I think it will be okay.
Beautiful. Well, you can be lost in Pandora's box with your good heart, and I'll be eating my can of gummy worms.
Love it. I'll see you there.
See you there. Bye.
Bye.
Episode's over, but you don't want to miss the outro. Thanks for spiraling through another metaphor with us.
If you like this episode, tell your mates, leave us a review, or shout a saying at us online.
You can find me, Rach, over on YouTube at Rach Does YouTube.
And you can find me, George, watching Rachel's videos over on YouTube, but also on Instagram at makinga.fuss.